wisdom is better than rubies, and all things to be desired are not to be compared unto it. We bring you musical gems from near and far, blended into a pattern of glorious harmony. A program based on the universal language of music, it is our pleasure to present to you Korla Pandit.
Nobody said what he was. All we did was show him. And then it's up to them, in their creative minds, to decide if he's married, if he's single, if he comes from the outer world, if he comes from Africa, from Europe, or what. Nobody said anything.
Everyone who knew Korla knew that there was something very authentic about that man, and yet that there was a part of who he was that did not jibe with his backstory.
He was unknowable, and people were attracted to Korla because no one knew anybody like Korla.
He's a person who forever is going to be stepping out of time. You know, time and gravity don't mess with him. He's one of the immortals.
You know, there were stories that he'd married a wealthy Texas oil woman. There were stories that he was gay, that he died, that he disappeared, that he was playing in pizzerias. Anything was possible with Korla.
Korla Pandit's legacy is like any good legacy should be, and that is a good story.
Carla, I know many of our viewers would like to know some of your background, so why don't we start with the very elementary things. Where were you born?
I was born in New Delhi, India, and started performing music, in a sense, at a very early age, 2 years and 4 months old.
Really? You showed an aptitude toward music at that early an age, did you?
Yes, we had a large home, and they heard someone downstairs playing the grand piano, which my mother, who was a French coloratura soprano.
Oh, is that so?
My father was Hindu Brahmin. And they heard someone playing piano, and they thought it might be one of my older brothers or sisters, and they came down, they found that I was picking out melodies. They left me alone, and later on I played more melodies, and so I had quite a repertoire of songs as far as my fingers could reach, you see.
And we move now to a vinyl track from Korla Pandit, thought by many to be the godfather of exotica. Well, I've incorporated the music of Korla Pandit in my programming for 30 or 40 years, ever since I've been on the air, because he's always been not just a mystery to me, but the theatrical aspects of Korla Pandit have really interested me. And I thought I knew about the man, but I didn't really find out the truth until I read this article by R.J. Smith, who really seemed to kind of unlock the mystery of Korla Pandit for me.
What writing does for me is it helps me learn about things I never learned about before, and asking people questions. You could never get away with asking them if you weren't a reporter. I had a friend from college. She talked about how she was dating a guy from Detroit, who I'd never heard of. Something about how he had rollerblades and was a lounge singer. I kind of fell into this totally LA, to me, subculture of lounge fanatics and tiki mug collectors and absinthe drinkers and exotica-loving, fez-wearing, turban-adoring people. One of the people that was always around was a guy named Korla. I'd never heard of Korla before. Started hanging out with Joey Cheesy, and Joey would tell me things about Korla.
He was respected as a pioneer and, you know, a patron saint, if you will. He was very committed, and he really believed in what he was doing and felt that it was an important mission that he was on, to be there and allow music to be this universal language of love.
When I started talking to Korla, he pulled you in. He had a soft way of talking that made you want to lean in and hear more. I interviewed Korla about 2 or 3 times in the mid-90s, and also would just be around him on the bus trips, in lounges. I went in the recording studio and watched him record his last session. So it was a combination of being an observer and a formal interviewer that I feel like a little bit I got to know Korla Pandit. I pitched a story to the Los Angeles Weekly that I was working for, and strangely enough, they said, yeah, do it. And that's how I started writing about Korla.